I'm glad we're doing this because I was very mad at League of Legends a few minutes ago.
Yeah, yeah, it's a terrible game. I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, every MOBA's
yeah. Well, yeah.
because Herder, you have to rely on completely incompetent teammates.
I
to
think
accomplish.
the thing is the community is always just retarded in some respect. Um, but yeah. Anyway, I suppose I should actually make my XSplit layer correct. There we go. Hello everybody. Welcome to Late Night IMBA Discussions. We're going to have an interesting chat tonight. Of course, it's been a little while since we've all been available. Of course, there was the Diablo 3 release, which was almost as disenchanting of a game as Duke Nukem Forever to me. No, I had to say it. I had to say it.
I mean, I can't even disagree.
Yeah. No, no. Maybe if we have time, we'll get to that a little later. But obviously, we'll be discussing, as mentioned in the Reddit thread and the various other 600 threads that I made. We're going to have a look at ZVT and, of course, TvZ. Of course, we're going to go both ways. We're going to have a look at it with a little bit more analysis and expertise from the Zerg side, and then also from the Terran side. Of course, I've got a couple of cohorts with me because I cannot do that to a very extravagant effect by myself, but I do have a couple of folks with me. Joining me, number one, is Wiggn. He's over there, and he's obviously you can't see him, but I'm going to work on that. I've got an idea for that. Yeah, don't worry. Your awesome faces will be seen soon. Of course, Wiggn, our Terran expert. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. Excited to do this.
Yeah. Big changes. Obviously, don't get into it too much, but big changes in a couple of ways. Like in I suppose in a way for the ZVT matchup, it's a bit of a small thing, but it's a big thing. Is that sort of a correct sort of feel on it? Do you reckon?
Yeah, it's just kind of falling in line with the Blizzard response to Terran, which is take away options.
Yep.
People complain about Terran, so they just take away more Terran options. We're talking about the Queen thing, right?
We're talking about obviously that latest patch, of course, where the Queen's got buffed and it's just ridiculous range now, and I'm sick of that. But what I'm more sick of is the Overlord scouting. It's actually almost impossible for me to do DTs now, just because the Overlord pretty much has rocket boosters on its back, and it's just insulting. But we may get to that in the next episode, where I'm thinking we'll have to look at Protoss, because I don't think we've looked at Protoss for a little while now. But yeah, of course, we've also got Omerta. Are you there? Are you back?
Yes.
He's there. Could you, just if you've got some way to turn yourself up a little bit, I think you're just a tiny bit quiet, I'm not actually sure. But of course, as I said, we've got Omerta here. He's also our Zerg and Protoss expert. Of course, both of these two clowns with me are very good with their Protoss. They don't build carriers like I do, but we'll get them there one day.
I build carriers when I get the chance. It's just not very often.
You're not up to the old what is it? The White Ra 2 Stargate opening. None of that?
The 2 Stargate carrier?
New Pro League openings, man.
I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes I have to embarrass a nerd and bust that out, but
Yep.
don't do it very often.
Yeah. Have you been playing much? Of course, I know both of you have been playing a lot of League of Legends, but
Yes. Mostly
Unfortunately.
been playing the League of Legends.
we've got a new season coming up, of course. So you guys gonna perhaps hit up the ladder a little bit more, and
We should. I think Dave,
I'm
we
thinking
need to
about
do
it.
our old school Skype ladder sessions, where we
Yeah,
just get mad the entire time.
we should totally stream that. I'm thinking that'd be a fantastic idea for a stream session. we just have me sitting there like, holy shit, the Overlord saw my fucking Dark Shrine. What am I gonna do?
Oh, great! This Terran brought all his SCVs.
Ah.
That took a lot of skill.
Yeah.
I'll just leave
My
this
problem
game.
with streaming my ladder sessions is I always get egged on by my chat to do ridiculous things like try 5x Reapers or something stupid like that.
Yep.
And that tends to degrade from my ladder points a little bit.
Yeah. No, I had the same thing because I got that second account because I thought I'd need to get Omerta on C, but I got the second account and I did placements as Zerg, and someone said to go 1 base Broodlords, so I did it and I won. But The
Yeah,
thing
it's
was, it wasn't actually placements, it was actually in the practice league. I totally forgot. And of course, what map did I get? Desert Oasis. So,
Oh yeah.
so you know, you can one base Broodlords all day on that bitch, and you'll just have a
well,
fun
if you
time.
select
So,
Zerg, you can one base anything all day.
yeah, that's true. On
You
any
basically
map.
just do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep, Steps of War doesn't matter. Just do whatever you want. You're a Zerg player these days.
Yeah,
You learned how to press your larva button.
yeah. That's pretty
I'm
much
not
it.
good.
No, not at all. Not at all. All right, let's get into it. Just for you guys who are watching the stream, and of course watching the VOD. If you are, you know, just a little bit behind, you're a bit busy, and you have to watch the VOD. Please take note that I will be using SC2 Tactician to do all sorts of pretty little arrows and things like that. I'll just do a couple for you now. As you can see, we can do arrows. We can do little area effects like that. We can even make it colored if you're colorblind, so I can troll you just like I am, I suppose. But anyway, we'll have a little bit of that going, which is also just a little bit of fun. Thank you to SC2 Tactician, who floated me over a little a beta key for that, and it's been a bit of fun.
Are you sure it's working? Because I put your stream on to check and I don't see anything.
Oh shit! Hang on. Sorry. No, I know. I totally know what's wrong with that. Capture layered windows. Okay, sorry. I totally forgot I have to have captured layered windows on. Here it is. Me drawing little circles. La la la. And, you know, we've got things like arrows and,
Oh, there it is.
and that sort of stuff and blah blah blah. Alright, there we go. So thank you for pointing that out. I'd totally forgotten about it. Alright, so let's get into it. We'll go with your replay first, Wiggn.
Which one
Okay,
was
we're
that?
looking for. Do you have the full pack?
Yeah, I grabbed the whole thing.
Okay, we're looking for the one titled Group C Bomberverse. Actually, no, we're not gonna go that. We're gonna go. Which one was it exactly? It's going to be Bomber on the Startail Curious account against. Let's see, where is it? Against Sheth, I believe, is the game. I think it's on Daybreaks. Figure out exactly when that. No, we want Thorzane.
Yeah, I was
That's
gonna say
right.
you
We
said
want Thorzane
you said
first.
Thursday before. I was like, what?
Sorry.
So we're going Thorzane versus Sheth?
Chef.
Cloud Kingdom?
And it's on Antigua.
Oh, wait,
it's on Antigua.
sorry.
That's right.
I'm clicking on the wrong one.
It is Antigua Shipyard 1
there
underscore.
it is.
First one.
1AS. Alright, I'm just gonna load it up.
And the reason I picked this one is because I know a lot of Terran players, myself included, sometimes feel really lost in the matchup. Like your hand is forced to do something really aggressive, or you're forced down a very narrow tech path, and it feels like the Zerg holds the cards.
Yep.
And this is a nice game showing how you can force the Zerg into an unwinnable position instead of the other way around.
Okay. Alrighty. Let's just get into it. You guys ready?
Good to go.
Ready?
Ready to go. Let's go on 3, 2, 1, go.
Now, full disclosure, I feel like this is a pretty Terran-favored map because you have very strong siege positions and a very defensible third base with siege tanks, and it's also very easy to attack with siege tanks on this map. So, if you're a Zerg player and you want to just take a random guess at what the Terran player is going to do, it's going to involve siege tanks. You're not very likely to see any weird like bio play.
You won't see mass ghosts. Is that what you're saying?
Sorry, what was that?
You won't see mass ghosts. That's what you're saying.
Well, I don't think you'll ever see mass ghosts anymore, but
I know. I
there's
just
30,000 snipes to kill like a Zergling these days or whatever. So.
no, exactly. Alright, so up the top left-hand side, we've got EG's Thorzane, the new recruit to EG, the latest person they've picked up after a big win, which I think is an interesting strategy. I don't know whether it is their strategy for getting players, but obviously it's a pretty good way to do things. Down the bottom right-hand side, we have Liquid Chef in the blue. Of course, people have been a little bit mean on Liquid lately. I'm a big Liquid fan, so obviously I'm quite biased, but I'm going to go out there and just say it's fine to not like a team, but you don't have to be a complete dick about it. You don't need to, put the players completely down. You can say, alright, they're having a bad time, but you don't need to just say these are worthless people who should probably cut their wrists or something like that. Because I'm serious. That's some shit I've seen, especially on Reddit, of course, because generally Reddit's a hive for that sort of stuff. But it's
a wretched hive, scum and villainy.
Exactly, that's what I was looking for. But that's just some stuff I've seen. I mean, it's terrible. Like, I support Liquid, and my girlfriend supports EG, and that's obviously an interesting thing. But you don't need to hate about it. But anyway, enough of me ranting. I was going to put that in a blog post eventually. But so obviously, Wiggin's mentioned that this is a bit of a Terran favored matchup. Omerta, what do you think about this for a Zerg player? You're going to look for
a map, not matchup.
Oh, sorry, map. Sorry, I mean the map. Omerta, do you think this is a map where you need to do something early, or is it actually something where you need to try and look to get some expands going and just sort of wait for the macro stage, or do you actually need to get something done early on?
I mean, the hardest part about this map, Dave mentioned the easy 3-base for Terran, which a lot of maps have that, but what's difficult about this map is the 4th base is really hard for Zerg to take. You either have to try and expand to the middle, which, if you have control of the game, you can kind of do that, but if they get that sieged up, you're fucked. The other position you could try to expand to, like, say, from Chef's point of view, would be the base over there to the left. That's such a far distance by ground and easy to harass with drop. It's just really hard to defend your 4th base here, and you need 8 gas to get the super IMBA hive tech really rolling. And so without that easily obtained, Zerg just has a tough time if the game gets past like the 15-20 minute mark.
Yep. Alright, so
that's definitely...
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, that's definitely a way that you want to play this map as a Terran, is you want to try to hit some sort of timing that will either be able to punish a very fast 4th, or contain the Zerg player on 3 bases. Because if you can force a Zerg player to stay on 3 bases, and that's a part of your plan, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to win from that position. Yeah.
So obviously we're going to be looking at the particular differences in this matchup to where it was a month ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, when but just before the patch went through, where the Queens were obviously given the buff of getting their melee. Their melee attack was given the range of 5, which is quite a lot better than what it used to be. Of course, previously you could look at doing things like kiting them with Hellions, just a small amount. Stalkers can also kite them, and it also means that it's a lot harder for Hellions to get around when the Queens have this huge range now. So, Wiggn, what do you think here? We've got Thorzane opening up with that very standardized reactor Hellion opening. Is this something that is generally it's something that we're always going to see still, or has it changed much given the Queen buff?
Well, I think what you're going to start seeing from players, and you'll kind of see it in this game, is they're a little bit less reliant on the Hellion's ability to stop the creep and keep the Zerg player contained on 2 bases. Like, it used to be you could get like 6 to 8 Hellions. You could do almost anything behind that and be safe because the Zerg player really couldn't move out unless he did something very aggressive, like a roach tiling push or something like that.
Yep.
Now, if a Zerg player really wants to spread that creep, it's very, very difficult to stop him from doing that. You notice Sheth is moving up with the creep, moving his queens out, and these Hellions can't really do much about it unless he gets a ton of them. So, I don't think the couple of early Hellions is ever going to go away unless something really changes, just because it's so essential to gain that map presence.
Yep.
But you're definitely going to see Terran players relying less and less on its effectiveness after the initial small group of Hellions is out.
Yep.
So what we're seeing from Thorzane right now is sort of an adjustment to that. You're seeing a very fast third, which I think is a great decision on this map specifically, but in general, it's something that Terran players are going for more and more in this matchup.
Mm-hmm.
And you're also seeing very quick tanks. Just sort of, again, playing to the advantages of the map and then realizing that you can't rely on these Hellions to be very effective. So you need something else. You need something else, be it very greedy with the quick third before any other attack, and then being able to defend it, or having some sort of option for like a timing push with these tanks and Marines, which going for the fast siege affords both. So it's sort of interesting. I think Artosis has mentioned it before, how the metagame tends to go in cycles, and that people get greedier and greedier, and then you see older, more aggressive builds come back, and so on and so forth. This looks a lot like an older TvZ build where you would get just 2 or 4 Hellions, and then you'd immediately get a fast siege, and then go pressure.
Yep.
And it's sort of a similar concept, except instead you're getting the third and using the siege tanks defensively.
Right. So it's moved from a spot where you're going to rely on the Hellions being at the front of the Zerg's base, burning up any of those Zerglings that try and run out, and also the creep tumors that try and push through as well. It's gone from being relying on them to do that to just being like, okay, there's a good chance that the Hellions will be able to do that stuff, but also I'm going to be in a position where I'll need to be able to properly defend if, if and when the Zerg gets out of the base. So let's change that a little bit.
Right. And if you want to look at like a match from a couple months ago, you'd see like Marine King doing something similar to this, except he'd get like 12 Blue Flame Hellions, and that's all he'd have.
Yep. Yeah, I think
You can't get away with it
MLG.
anymore.
Yeah, that wasn't that one of the MLG arena finals where he did something like that, and he just he'd take his third base just off like those 10 to 12 Blue Flame Hellions, and it was pretty simple from there. But Chef's doing a good job spreading out the creep, given that, as you can see, with the Queen change, it gives him a lot of ability to move that creep out a little bit further. And in fact, he's almost to the center of the map, which is pretty impressive, considering that it is a ZVT. But, yeah, so, Omerta, we can see that Chef's gone for quite a lot of lings just at the start here. Is this significant? Is that something as a response to the change to the game, or is that just, his standard sort of play for the way he's going to look to play out this match?
I mean, you'll see a lot of early roaches from players, like Stefano made that, I guess, kind of famous. The nice thing about the Queens is you don't have to invest roaches if you don't want to anymore, because your Queens can get endlessly kited by Hellions. So what Chef decided to do was just get a few lings out and start his upgrades. Instead of investing that 150 gas in like 6 or so roaches to defend the Hellions, he went ahead and got his upgrades started a little faster, which is good. And as soon as he got like 30 or so lings out to chase Hellions off, he just droned to like 80 right away.
Yep.
And
80,
immediately
82
took up
at
the
the
hive.
moment.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he just droned like crazy, and now he's got his upgrades pumping. He's got Hive like already almost done at 13 minutes. So Thorzane should like try and pressure at this point, because this is a really vulnerable time for Zerg right before the Hive tech really kicks in. I don't know if he has any infestors even out yet. Okay, they're coming out now. But yeah, this is a vulnerable time and a good time to try and push up to the center of the map like Thorzane's doing.
Yeah, and this is like what a ton of Zergs are doing these days. Is sort of like they know that they can be safe just on lings for a very long time. I don't like it on this map because I feel like you have to do something to keep the pressure off you as a Zerg player in order to secure a fourth. But just this hive timing and everything like that, this is what you should expect to face, like from Zerg, is this ling infester with a very fast hive timing. And the reason I think this is so interesting is because like Thorzane hasn't attacked this entire time,
No.
but he's still not in an unwinnable position. That's what a lot of people feel like this matchup is you have to attack or you're just gonna fall like so ridiculously behind that there's just nothing you can do.
Yeah. Just as a quick note, sorry, just to the guys on the stream, I know this is a little bit quiet at the moment, but I've just got I totally forgot I have my StarCraft 2 sound down a little bit because it was getting annoying when I was playing, but I'll fix that up for the next game, so you can just imagine that the sounds are there, or maybe Wiggn will make his own sounds for the game But yeah, as we can see, we've got TvZ just pushing around the map. He's trying to clear out these creep tumors as best as possible while trying to survive from these flanking Ling attacks. Meanwhile, Sheth down the bottom right-hand side had a little bit of trouble at this fourth hatch with just a minor attack here, but he has cleaned that up for the moment, and TvZ's really establishing himself in this middle position here, which is quite nice for him.
Yeah, and this is the kind of thing you want to do if you can force a Zerg player to 3-base. He's set up in a position that he can react very quickly to any sort of push out that the Zerg player makes, and punish any kind of expansions. Like this fourth base is up right now, but it's completely useless. Like there's no way he can safely mine from it or anything, and basically TvZ can kill it at will. And because of his positioning, he's forced Sheth into a spot where Sheth has to break this army and basically win the game, while TvZ can just sit back and reinforce and reinforce and reinforce.
Yeah.
And it's sort of the opposite that you normally expect in this matchup, right? Like
exactly.
Normally you feel like Omerta was saying, you want to hit before the hive. Well, if you force the player to 3 bases, get a fourth and play very safe, you don't really actually, as long as you've done it in the proper circumstances, such as, you know, getting a very fast third.
Yeah, and he's just slowly pushing up, of course, as everyone knows, TvZ, the spoon Terran, as they called him in Korea, just because of how slow he is with actually getting stuff done. And, of course, it's you know, it's a way I would like that I think a lot of Terran players should really mimic if you want to play a very safe style that's also, in its own way, very aggressive. Like, because he's captured this middle position here. He's moving tanks up like 2 and 3 and 4 at a time, but he's not taking too much ground. He's just saying, look, I'm going to take this tiny little patch of ground, and you're not going to actually get it back, because, you know, he's now got these. How many tanks have we got here? We've got 12 tanks sitting here in the middle, covering all sorts of area. There's a Thor there in the back as well, and now Sheth's up to his Ultralisk. He's going to have to be very efficient with how he does this, and here he goes. So he's just pushing in. The Ultras are getting up the ramp and everything, but he's actually doing alright. I suppose a lot of that is still alive. He's got a lot of health left on the Ultralisk just on the right-hand side. A few good fungals also go in as well. The Thor is doing his best, but unfortunately he's not going to do too well against the remaining Ultralisk. But look, do you reckon that was an efficient trade, Omerta, for the Ultras that were lost there?
No, he needed to win the game, basically, with this attack, especially since his third is dying to this drop. Like, without the gas, he can do, like, 1 reinforcement on Lings, but the other thing about not being able to get the 4th base stone is he's missing a lot of larva. Like, he's completely out of larva at this point. Well, he has 10, but, I mean, he doesn't have enough larva to really reinforce, and, I mean, he kind of killed TvZ's full army, but he's out of larva and is no longer mining, so he didn't really do enough damage. I don't think he needed to completely wipe out that army as well as kill the 4th base of TvZ, I think, to have, like, a chance of coming back into this game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's that sort of unwinnable situation that I mentioned that you often get into as a Terran player in this matchup. But instead, he's, because of the way he was greedy, like safe greedy at the beginning with the fast third. And the other thing I neglected to mention was he went for fast double engineering bay, which is absolutely just like every matchup you play in, you should be doing that as a Terran player nowadays. And one of the only reasons that fight went decently for Sheth was because he hit right before 3-3 kicked in. Which it should have been finished a while ago, but I think he mistimed his upgrades for a little while there, just forgot about them. But yeah, that fast 3-3 is something you should always go to, especially if you're aiming for like a late game win, like TvZ was in this. And you can tell the nice thing about this game and TvZ's play in general is you can tell this is the goal of his play the entire time. It wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to do this build and see what happens, and then, you know, he just happened to contain him on 3 bases. This was the point of this build from the very beginning.
Just to sort of establish that early economy, and then just sort of sit back and wait for Sheth to come to him. So, and there we go. So, I suppose when we look at that particular game, not really too much has changed when you sort of look back at, you know, things such as the Overlord speed was increased, but obviously that isn't a. I don't. Do you reckon that's a huge factor in this matchup? I mean, scouting out what the Terran's doing.
I think it's never really mysterious what the Terran's doing in this matchup. Like, nothing has changed as far as it's still Marine tank. Sometimes you see mech, but who gives a shit? Mech's bad.
Whoa.
So this scouting from like faster Overlords hasn't changed. It hasn't really changed.
Yeah.
Anything in the matchup. The Queen range just means you'll never ever see Reapers instead of maybe see Reapers.
Yep.
Once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
And it makes the Hellions less effective. But what I think has really changed in this matchup is from the Terran side. It used to be, lots of Hellions. You're heavily reliant on them to basically hide what you were doing and slow the Zerg's creep and expansion rate.
Yep.
And then you had to hit with some timing attacks. And God forbid you didn't attack before Hive finished, you probably lost the game.
Yep.
Whereas nowadays, you see very greedy thirds, you see double engineering bay before adding production for fast upgrades, and a lot more of an intelligent passive style from Terran players, where they know that if they just put themselves in the right position, like every other race, you can just win the game by being ahead and forcing the other player to attack into you, instead of in the past where Terran players felt like they just couldn't do that because of racial problems or whatever.
Yep. Okay. All right. So that was a little look into it from the Terran side of things. What we'll do is we'll go into Omerta's game, which he has picked. Which one was that again? That was that Liquid against Liquid?
Tasia versus Sheth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cloud Kingdom.
On Cloud Kingdom.
We get Sheth in
Yep.
both of these. Nice.
Yeah.
Pretty good
I
stuff.
like Sheth. He's one of my favorite players.
He's good. He's good.
This is a really fun game, so
All right.
that's why I chose it.
Okay.
Every Tasia game is a fun game because he just does things that don't make any sense to anybody but him, but usually they work.
Well, he plays Terran, so he has that luxury.
Okay.
Oh dear. All right. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Yep.
It'll be so good when Heart of the Swarm comes and we'll freaking have the ability to watch replays together as a party.
They're all gonna be ZVZs, man. It's not gonna be any fun at all.
I don't know. Watching Vipers grab each other like two blitzcranks or something might be pretty funny.
That'd be really good. Like, cause there's cause one of the heroes in Dota, you've obviously got like Pudge, and I think in what's he called in LoL? There's a LoL version. Guy like
blitzcrank as a grab.
Oh yeah. No,
Like
sorry.
that pulls people in.
Yeah.
Blitzcrank.
And then there's the other one who swaps your position. Have you got one of those in LoL?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an ultimate on a character called Urgot.
Yeah. We've got that on Vengeful Spirit, and it's really funny because when you hook Vengeful Spirit and she swaps you, you sort of do this switch in positions, but then it actually switches you back, and it's really freaky. But anyway, all right, let's get started. 3, 2, 1, go.
I don't know. You don't think there'll be any Protoss in Heart of the Swarm, but with just Nexus recall and stuff like that, that'll be perfectly balanced.
Yeah. No carriers, no motherships. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah. Starting down at the bottom left-hand side of Cloud Kingdom is our new Terran on Team Liquid. It is Tasia. He is against his, obviously, his partner in crime in the Zerg race. Up the top in the blue, it is Liquid Sheth. So, Omerta, tell us, what are your thoughts from the Zerg side of the matchup in ZVT after the patch?
I don't think really a whole lot's changed. Like, the Queen change is nice. The option that gives you, I think, which we saw Chef do last game, was you can skip roaches if you want to. I feel like before, if you wanted to go for a fast third base, you couldn't really skip roaches. You had to get like 5 or 6 of them out to chase Hellions off. But now you can kind of just poke at the Hellions with your Queens and get Zergling speed and your upgrades a little faster. The Overlord change, I think, is nice. Not necessarily for scouting tech, like sacking your overlords, but I think it allows your initial overlords to get into better position on a lot of maps.
Yep.
Like on this map, for example, you can kind of poke in with your first overlord and then safely get it back to that cliff over the natural, which you weren't able to do before. And then on like Daybreak, you can send your overlord all the way back over the natural to that little glowing box that says put an overlord here.
Yep.
So yeah, I think initial overlords are much more important when you talk about that change.
Yeah, I think.
It's definitely nice on a bigger map like this too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the changes had a. I'm not saying that Blizzard totally didn't think of this, but there really have been some side effects of of those two particular changes that I think not everyone would have thought about it in the first sort of like at the first change of it, where like as a Protoss, if you wanted to 3 pylon block a ramp and then cannon it, you could do that, and then you'd be fine because the Zerg would have to, number one, extend the creep and then get a spine crawler down so that they could kill the pylon. Whereas now you can actually just sit a queen at the top of the cliff and kill the pylons.
Yep.
So, you know, that's something which I feel like it's a little bit of an unthought of change. Also, that's one thing for the Zerg players to note on this particular map. I know I'm dragging Protoss into this, but I have to do that. Otherwise, I've got nothing else to say. If a Protoss tries to cannon the third, like that little the anti-Hydra spot up at the third base, where you put the pylon down and then put the cannon just behind the mineral line. In fact, why am I using? I should use this. You go bam right there, and then you have your pylon here. You can actually you can hit the queen from the high ground. She can hit the cannon from the high ground, and it's just ridiculous. So bear that in mind, Protoss players. But yeah, and also as I said earlier, it makes it a lot easier and as you said, for the overlords to get into position, because they can get into those sort of those backdoor spots behind a base. Like obviously there's the same thing on Ohana,
Yep.
and that can be quite annoying because then even as a Terran, where your builds are a little bit more predictable, you have to sort of say, well, you know, where am I going to put my tech? If I want to hide, you know, I'm going for Thor ships or something like that. If you want to hide that, where are you going to put that? You can't put that over to the backside where you normally would put it, and you can't really put it on the leading edge of the base because that's obviously just, you know, asking to be scouted. So you have to kind of really think about where you're going to put it, and you know, in some cases, I think we may see, like in Pro League, if anyone saw that yesterday, where people are just going to proxy tech, like you're going to put, you know, proxy DTs across somewhere on the opposite side of the map where the overlords might not go. So, yeah. Anyway, so back on this game, we've got his Sheth's picked up his natural. Of course, he's still mining from both the gas at the main and the natural. Looks as if he's doing something a little bit similar to what he did in the previous game. He's taken his third. Is that third just slightly quicker? I think.
Yeah,
I think it's,
it was in response to the CC first.
Yep.
Well, what we saw Sheth do last game, and we see a lot of Zergs do now, is they get their third hatch in their main.
Yep.
Just kind of get a really fast macro hatch, so it doesn't get like harassed by any kind of weird early attack. And it's safe, but Sheth knows that since TvZ went for CC first, he can just throw that third hatch out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
That's
Dave's going to
first.
get mad here in a second.
Oh well,
because
so
you see
I
the
don't
tech
know
lab, right, Dave? Do you see that tech lab?
So I'll say this about CC first builds: they're getting really popular, and they can be really good. But if you go for a fast third behind it, like TvZ did, it's going to be very difficult for you to hold any aggression, like any aggression.
What?
And
Even Lings?
What? No, well, like Lings. Okay, any aggression that involves gas.
Oh,
Lings.
okay.
Lings aren't bad because you can just make a wall. You're Terran. That's pretty neat, useful skill to have, right?
Yep.
But anything involving gas, like, to be perfectly honest, like if you see a CC first as a Zerg player, you can max on Ling Baneling with a handful of mutas at like 10:30, 11 minutes. Like it's not even that difficult to do, and there's just almost no way in hell that a Terran player is going to be able to hold that. especially if he tries to get that third. Now, if he doesn't go for the third, and he goes for some sort of like 2-base timing based off the CC first, then you're gonna just die. But if you're able to scout that at all, assuming you're or your Ling Baneling thing isn't gonna work probably. But if you scout this fast third like this, like he's just gonna have such a hard time holding anything that's.
Oh wow.
Oh my god, is he really gonna kill it with Lang? That's so depressing.
Oh wow.
I'm a little sad for Tasia. I mean,
that was Stim.
Omerta.
For those of you playing at home, that was Stim. Cannot believe that actually happened.
That's so bad, actually.
Oh wow.
Oh god. So I think every Terran player's had that kind of thing happen a few times, and it's just the most depressing thing in the game. Like it literally just ruins any timings you had planned out.
You know,
Because like, like that +1/+1 would have finished near when that stim finished and everything. Oh god, that's so just depressing and sad. Like that completely ruins your whole game.
I've actually done that to Terrans before, and they've actually left. Because I got, do like a DT drop into the main or something like that, find the tech lab that's having a rave party in it, like this one is here, and then target it down, and then they leave. It's like, oh, did you lose your stim? Oh.
Like, if Sheth was popping out, a bunch of mutas like he could be right now if he was going for muta play, and then he kills that stim, like the game basically ends.
Yep.
There's just no way the Terran's going to be able to
Yep.
to really safely hold a third and not just get completely contained by muta play. So
Yeah.
like that kind of thing can actually just lose you the game flat out. And even if it doesn't just flat lose you the game, it really does hurt a lot. That's kind of the danger of doing. Oh, it's yeah. It'd be really nice if you could. Lewis Manka saying it'd be nice if you could choose what side you put your add-ons on. Yeah, it would be really nice.
That would be cool.
It's definitely something to bear in mind if you're doing a build like this where you have to use your first 3 barracks to wall. I don't know what to do instead. It's like a response, but I don't know. Maybe you can just use, with some better foresight, use supply depots instead of one of the barracks. But it's just one of those things that it sucks. There's not much you can do about it. I like the bunker placement by Tasia, by the way. That's cute. That's something that you kind of need to do if you're kind of behind. This is just so many lings.
Yeah.
Sheth really must not like Tasia. What's going on here?
I was going to say, there was just so many building, and we've got Infestors are also on the way, Pathogen Glands just about to complete, and he's really just taking advantage of the fact that Stim is not done. As we saw just before, Omerta, if you could give us your comments, when Sheth actually just ran up into this third base here, there were a lot of Marines there. I would say that would have been about 20-25 lings, and he just said, you know what, screw it, I'm going to surround you and go for it. Is that something you can probably look for as a Zerg if you have denied Stim and like that Stim's not available? Is that worth the trade to sacrifice, because that would have been about, like 35-40 lings or so. Is that worth it?
I feel like Sheth actually misplayed killing that stim. He made the lings, and he was pretty cost-effective in trading at first. But I think if he had just gone directly up to 80 drones, because there's no way Tasia's gonna attack without stim, especially if it's a super late stim. There's just no way he's going to attack. So I think Sheth should have just droned during all that and gotten his infestors out. And right now he would be sitting on 80 drones with the infestors out and wouldn't have lost all those lings and all that potential mining time. But now what's happened is, since Tasia is just massing marines, massing bio, he's going to be able to flood reinforcements in, and Sheth doesn't have the best economy right now. Well, he's up to 77 drones now.
Yeah.
But as we'll see in a second, he missed his timing to drone, and now his army is kind of small when he tried to catch up his drone count.
I think if you want to be that kind of aggressive, because in reaction to the fact that you've killed Stim or something like that, I don't know. Does Sheth know that he went for the fast third CC? He doesn't know, but he should be able to guess by how late Tasia's tech is. I think Banelings would have been a much better choice than just masslings, because there's no way unstimmed Marines with a relatively low medevac count and no siege tanks are really going to be able to deal with a lot of lings and banelings. But good positioning can save you against enough lings You know, be it you're up on the cliff, or you have a bunker in a nice spot, or you're hiding behind your mineral line. But add a couple banelings into that, and those Marines aren't really going to be able to do anything anymore.
Yeah, things get a little bit messy once they come into play, of course. Unless you have amazing Marauder control and like send the Marauder to the front, and he's like, I'm going to take this one for the team. But looks as if, yeah, as Omerta said, Sheth just struggling a little bit here because he missed some of that drone time there. He's currently sitting on a total of 75, so it's not as though he is completely losing out in the battle there, but he is losing some of them now, down to 68 drones. The Infestors are going to have a hard time doing anything here because there aren't too many Banelings. Now they're coming. Here come a few Banelings, but yeah, he's lost his third. He's now in a lot of trouble, coming back from essentially being in one of the most terrible positions you can be. Taja has he turtled up a little bit, waited for stim, and then just looked to start pushing, and he's done a fantastic job with the push. So is this game lost from here, Omerta? When you've lost your fourth, you've lost quite a few drones as well, and you've got a Terran that's sort of on the front foot with a lot of Marines and bio in general. Is this where you need to go for the kill move, and if you don't, then you're dead?
The game.
Let me just say that no
over
game
when
is
you have
ever over
infestors.
if there's 10 infestors. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I'm glad we agree, Dave.
Yeah. So, Taja, I really like Taja's response to being behind. Is he went for, once he saw that Sheth had kind of, I'm going to agree with Omerta, misplayed a little bit and lost so many lings, he knew that if he went for this Marine Marauder like tempo-based style, as long as his control was good enough, he would hit Sheth at a time where he, you know, was a little bit weak, kind of a weak army, not quite enough tech out, not quite enough of the economy. And what he's been doing is he's just been keeping the pressure on so much so that he gets ahead with good control.
You guys have
I think
you guys have the production tab open, by the way, too, right?
Yep.
Just,
Oh,
okay.
hello.
Just gonna,
that's
yeah, just gonna
okay.
point that out.
I think Taja is making a mistake by not attempting to kill. Like you want, if you
He's making Hunter Seeker, man. There's no mistake here.
well, those infestors become more and more valuable as they build energy. But if you trade Marines and Marauders for energy, and you're getting a fourth base up, you're trading effectively. Like you're just losing units for energy. You're trading effectively because eventually Sheth isn't going to be able to do anything. But if you let him sit back, he already has access to hive tech. He's got pretty good upgrades. Now he has a bunch of full energy infestors. Then maybe
Wow.
you're not in such a good spot.
Yeah, he just got totally rolled over on the top of the cliff there. And now it looks as if Taja's just on the run at the moment. He does have, of course, quite a lot of Ravens building up some energy back home as well. More Marines here. Keep in mind the Marines do have 3-3. There is also, as we saw, where is it? Are they building? No, not yet. But there is a fusion core. So we could see some battle cruisers. There it is.
Yeah. Actually, I really like the Ravens. It's something that Terran players have still had just a difficult time incorporating into an army, but the guy we watched earlier, actually, Thorzane, has been adding like 5 or 6, I think 6 is the number he says is his favorite, Ravens into almost any late game composition with any race, usually in TvZ, because like they just give you so many options. They give you like fake Terran force fields with the auto turrets.
Yep.
HSM is actually decent against Zerg because the Zerg units actually die to HSMs unlike Protoss units. And
Speaking
PDD
of
is
which-
still almost always useful.
Wow. And there you go.
So
Oh man, these infestors somehow surviving that HSM attack. They did get some good fungals down, and in fact, wow, the Ultra's actually cleaning up quite a lot of that. So, despite losing quite a lot of his Banelings, looks like Sheth is still going to be able to push up just a little bit here. He's probably not going to be able to do a kill move though, and there goes another HSM, taking down a couple of the infestors and bringing down the health on those Ultralisks as well, and a battle cruiser is out. Finally, we have one of those guys are out on the field. They've got +2 on their weapons as well, so they are going to be doing a decent amount of damage and should be able to clean everything up. But he's obviously sustained a little bit of damage here. So, yeah, as you were saying, and in fact, just quickly to point out there, as Louis Manka has pointed out, the creep spread of Sheth is quite far behind where we saw him in the previous game, where he was spreading it around the entire map. Is that, as you said, Wiggn, he was facing a lot of tempo-based play with the Marines and the Marauders just roaming around the map. Is that just an unfortunate side effect of having to deal with that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he had pretty good creep spread up until a point when he started to, when he started to get really aggressive with the Lings. I think he was focusing a little bit on that, and then once Tasia was able to get aggressive in response, he can't really spread any creep in the face of a bunch of stimmed Marines and Marauders running around.
Yep.
So it's unfortunate, and spreading that creep is definitely something you should always try to do throughout the game. Because as a Terran player, like, there's almost nothing scarier than pushing onto creep. Like, you just do not want to fight on creep, no matter what the circumstance, if you can avoid it. So it's definitely something you should always keep in mind over the course of the whole game. But given that this has been kind of a weird back and forth game, I'm not really too surprised that the creep spread isn't perfect.
Yeah. So Omerta, you know, you've got Ultralisks and Lings, and obviously quite a few Infestors are at, well, they were out, but they're now partly dead. And you're facing up against battle cruisers, some Ravens, and a little bit of bio. What do you want to look to do? Do you want to try and set some Baneling landmines and try and catch at least the bio out, or do you need to mass up those Corruptors to get rid of the battle cruisers as a priority?
I think I would go Neural, which Chef just started. I think I would just focus on Zergling Infestor and try and use Neural. I mean, eventually the battle cruiser count will get kind of out of control, and you'll have to build air, but if he's only using a couple like supplemental BCs, which he's doing here, which I actually think is just better anyway,
Yep.
then I would just kind of try and use my Infestors to deal with those, neural them, get them out of the fight, clean up all the bio, and then, you know, deal with them a little bit later. But Sheth was kind of just done after he lost his fourth and sort of misplayed the mid game, and now his base is getting decorated by Terran stuff.
Wow. Just as you said,
I'm surprised
Actually,
you
Terran
as
stuff.
an example of Zerg metagame.
Well, no, I mean, I think Chef, like, his opening and everything was super good. He just misplayed that kill move. Like, I understand going for the kill move after you kill Stim, but you have to, like, actually go for the kill, not just kind of throw away a bunch of Lings, trading them for Marines.
Yeah.
Like you said, if he'd gone for, like, a fat Baneling attack or something, that would have been really good, but instead he just kind of, like, threw away his army for no reason. He didn't really, like, take advantage of the win he got by killing Stim.
Yep.
And now that's two games in a row that Chef went for Ultras late game instead of Broodlords.
That's true. That's very true.
What do you think about sort of the new focus on Ultralisks?
I like Ultralisks better early. I think just because they build faster, you can get Ultras out a lot faster than you can get Broodlords out, so you get this really strong army at like 15 or 16 minutes, where you'll have 3/3 either done or close to done. You'll have Adrenal, you'll have a bunch of Infestors with energy and Ultras, and that army can just demolish basically any Terran ground army if you land good fungals. And then once you kind of start trading out Lings again, you can switch over to Greater Spire, and then Terran's in a tough spot. But I like going Ultras first just for the fact that you can get them out faster.
I remember one of the big things, it was quite a while ago, like in early GSL seasons, was that everyone would always comment on, let's make Ultralisks so that they make tanks and stuff, and then you switch over to Broodlords, and oh no, they have no Vikings. But I feel like that just doesn't ever get capitalized on anymore. As you said, like, you can have those the Ultras up at that early sort of stage there. If you can get them up with some upgrades, you can force the other player into doing something like that. Of course, if they go battle cruisers, you're in a lot of trouble. But you can force them into that stage. Like in the previous game against Thorzane, we did actually have Ultralisks were out reasonably early after that very quick hive, and he had the 5/3 on them with their ridiculous 70 billion armor, and you know it did. it it wasn't so much a forceful move where it was forcing Thorzane to say, "Holy shit, I need more Marauders and tanks and stuff like that." It was just the way that it played out. But if at that point you actually had the Great Aspire prepared for a Broodlord switch, things could have perhaps gone a different way. And I just don't think we see that very much at all. But anyway.
Yeah, I really like Tejas playing this game. Like when we did that cast the other day, Duck, I was talking about how I feel like this tempo-based Marine Marauder style is the best way to play TvZ, and I like adding in the Ravens late game too. That's cool. I think either Ravens or Ghosts are good. I think Terrans. I think you'll start to see this style a lot more, where they go just really heavy Marine Marauder medevac and use good control to keep that army alive and make it effective, and then add in the tech units like the Ravens or the Ghosts to deal with the Infestors and Hive Tech. It's a really good game by Tasia.
It was definitely a good game, but I don't really think that style is the best or will become the most popular. I mean, you saw how poorly that army dealt with Ling Infestor, even though Sheth was down supply and had lost his 4th and 3rd. Like, it's...
But with this style, you're
it's
working
good
off,
with
like... How many racks did he have? 8, 10? I mean, you can keep up in
It's
production.
nice if you're, like, way ahead, but like, you still have that problem that every Terran has, where if you get your army crushed hard enough, you just lose the game. And your army's going to get crushed pretty hard if you're on remotely close to even footing, if you're going for like Marine Marauder play.
I think there were a couple of times where he had his army just like beautifully positioned, like at the top of ramps and at the bottom of ramps, and would force Sheth to fight there. And I mean, a Marine Marauder army in a good concave, forcing units into it, is very, very cost effective, like all the time. So I don't know, I like it, and I feel like it was Tasia's plan the whole time, even to go like he added on those starports before the game was really over and started going for
they were there
Ravens.
pretty early.
So I definitely think that was intentional. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. Well, it is almost on the hour. I think we are good to go. Thank you to the folks in the chat who are having a little talk with us there. We will probably, as I've said previously, we'll try and keep it on this sort of time zone, which is of course 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. in Australian time here, in this very cold and wet Melbourne day. It's so cold I actually have pants on. Yeah, so next week we'll probably have a look at something Protoss based, perhaps the revival of carriers, perhaps a little bit of that action if we can find some. And yeah, we'll
There's been a revival of carriers?
Dude.
When did that happen?
Dude.
Pro League, yo.
Haven't you seen Pro League or GSTL? Man, Freaky versus what was it? Crank versus Freaky. Apparently, if Crank's the man, he's going to bring carriers back. He's going to ring up Dustin Browder and say, "Screw you, buddy. We're keeping them in the game because I fucking said so." Yeah, we might. If anyone in the chat or who watches the VOD has some carrier play, preferably at a higher level. Obviously, I don't want to see you in your bronze game where you got like 23 carriers by the 15-minute mark. That's not what we're looking for here. We want to see if carriers can be used viably. Of course, personally, I think so because I use them a little bit in PvP, and everyone's going to freak out when I say that. I'm going to make a blog post about how to do that, by the way. But if you do have some, please let me know. And yeah, I'm going to try and see if I can grab some of White Ra's stuff, which is very interesting. He usually does it in PvZ, which I find very interesting because, that can be quite difficult sometimes. But anyway, we'll have a look at that and let you guys know. Of course, thank you to the dudes for helping me out with knowing stuff about Terran and Zerg, which I clearly don't. Thank you. Wiggn, any shout-outs or anything like that?
Just follow me on Twitter at DBWiggn, and that's about it. Thanks for having me, man.
No problemo. Of course, our Zerg Maestro Omerta. Any shout-outs or anything you wanted to say? Any upcoming events? You're gonna be, you're gonna be doing some
Well,
DJing or something like that.
Oh, next week, man. MLG Anaheim. Follow the at MLG SC2 Scores Twitter for all of your updates from yours truly, coming from before. I'll be watching every game that I can possibly watch and updating that. And then my regular Twitter is MLG_Omerta, and thanks again for having me on, brother, man. It's fun as always.
Problems. Of course, for me, I am going to be, well, possibly doing some more live stuff coming up this month in June. There are a couple of events which I've been asked to help out with doing some casting. So once I know more, I'll let you guys know more. And of course, you can always catch me here on Twitch TV. I'll be doing a lot of Dota 2 because I'm going pro at that. Not really.
You should play League of Legends with us, man.
No, man, you should play
so
Dota
bad.
2 with me. And so I will, yeah, as I said, I'll be doing a bit more live stuff. I'm going to be using this here, SC2 Tactician. Thank you to the guys at SC2 Tactician for giving me some beta access here. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, and also at the end of June, possibly going up to Brisbane to a live event that we're doing up there, so it could be quite fun as well. So I'll let you guys know more once that's all in play. So thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you hit us up on Twitter, say hello on there as well, and also tell your friends to come and watch the show, because we do have a little bit of fun and we like you guys tuning in as well. I'll see you all next time.